Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our REDSHORT webinar. During today's webinar, we'll be discussing Sodinokibi, or REvil Ransomware Group. A link to the related article will be made available in the chat box. The REvil Ransomware Group is one of the most prolific groups currently operating. While researchers have yet to identify the actors behind this ransomware group, they are believed to have Russian origins. This theory gains credence from the fact that REvil Ransomware seems to avoid targeting Eastern European companies. The REvil group seems to have evolved out of the now-defunct GandCrab gang. REvil rose to prominence in the months after GandCrab's shutdown. Moreover, the malware utilized by both groups shares a substantial amount of code. REvil was first observed mid-2019 and currently ranks among the top 5 ransomware groups based off number of victims. The REvil group operates very similar to other ransomware gangs. They employ a variety of tactics to gain initial access to organizations. Once sufficient privileges are achieved, they execute their ransomware across the entire domain. Once a domain is encrypted, a unique file extension is added to all files. This allows the group to easily identify victims based off file extension. Moreover, once a computer is locked, the background is changed and a ransom note is left on the desktop. A sample ransom note is shown here, provided courtesy of Malwarebytes. During an intrusion, they utilize a variety of publicly available tools to escalate privileges and move laterally. Prior to encryption, key files are exfiltrated to aid in extorting a ransom payment. Finally, if payment is not made, the group tries to auction the stolen data on their dark website. If the auction price is not met, all the data is publicly dumped and available for download on their blog. The REvil gang employs a variety of tactics to obtain initial access. Tactics vary from phishing emails with malicious macros, RDP brute forcing, and exploitation of unpatched vulnerabilities. Recently, REvil made headlines by exploiting the novel Microsoft Exchange code execution vulnerability to compromise the Taiwanese computer manufacturing company, Acer. Once an initial foothold is obtained, REvil seeks to establish persistence before conducting further enumeration and exploitation. The group then utilizes Cobalt Strike to aid in lateral movement. Cobalt Strike is a commercial command and control framework used by penetration testers and black hat hackers alike. Once a host is compromised, Cobalt Strike allows a user to easily run Mimikatz, perform past the hash attacks, and establish persistence. Cobalt Strike also utilizes PowerShell and SMB to move laterally. Attackers also bypass antivirus solutions while moving laterally. The REvil group continues to pivot and move laterally until sufficient privileges have been achieved. Once an organization's domain controller is compromised, REvil conducts a final round of reconnaissance to fully map out the victim's network. Finally, REvil exfiltrates sensitive data and confidential documents prior to encrypting all domain join machines. At this stage of an intrusion, the REvil group deploys the ransomware to the entire domain via native Windows tools on the domain controller. Recent versions of the REvil ransomware reboot infected machines into safe mode with networking. Booting into safe mode prevents the startup of various endpoint detection and antivirus software solutions that may impede encryption. Once files are exfiltrated and encrypted, the ransom message is generated and displayed. REvil is currently one of the most active ransomware gangs. At the time of this presentation, at least 178 organizations have fallen victim to REvil intrusions. The amount of ransom demanded by REvil varies depending on what the gang believes the victim can afford. This shows that the attackers do considerable research into a victim's finances before demanding a ransom. Sources report the lowest ransom demand was less than $1,000, while the highest was $50 million from the company Acer. If a company refuses to meet these ransom demands, then their information is auctioned off to the highest bidder. If there are no bids on the data, it is eventually dumped for free online. The mitigations for REvil ransomware are relatively generic. Indicators of compromise are available upon request, but RDP and phishing should remain the main focus of any mitigation plan. Users should be trained to identify suspicious emails, and any links contained in incoming emails should be disabled by default. Moreover, organizations should routinely backup and test their ability to restore from these backups. Additionally, implementing multi-factor authentication can help to mitigate risk. These mitigation steps aren't anything new or novel. These are the same mitigations that should be a part of any cybersecurity policy. Now moving on to emerging cyber trends. As we can see, 3 of the top 5 malicious email templates contain malicious Excel files, which dropped Trojan malware. As with many malicious email subject lines, these emails attempted to trick users into opening malicious attachments by claiming that the target owes the sender money. Additionally, over 6,000 user credentials were observed as part of URIs contained in public code repositories. There were also over 1,500 potential private keys observed in the past 2 weeks. Moreover, moving to sinkhole indicators, 2 of the top 5 IPs belong to Telecom Malaysia, indicating an increase of activity in this area. Finally, the UU's DNS spy at yandex.ru remains the top keylogger attacker server, distributing the Predator Pane malware. We hope you found today's briefing interesting and useful. If you missed a previous brief, recordings are available on our portal at redskyalliance.org/redshorts. Let us know if you are interested in learning more. Please contact Jim McKee at jmckee@wpaklabs.com.